My nursing experience or my journey has been very fulfilling and at times very challenging. Well, in indirect, I do clinical education with the undergraduate nursing students from 17 different universities. During my training years, the original idea came to my mind basically while I was attending to pressure care and huge decubitus ulcers or pressure sores.
The mortality and the morbidity of pressure ulcers is quite horrific. We don't actually know how many people die as a direct result of pressure ulcers because that's generally not written on the death certificate. And the costs of treating these things is in the millions and heading towards the billions. I'm interested in all devices and appliances that are out there to help minimise the risk of pressure damage and to treat pressure injuries.
It's all about relieving pressure. That's one thing we do when we attend to pressure care. We turn the patient from site to site.
It's going to meet the needs of a client who's going to continually deteriorate, and one of the conditions that I think this bed would be very good for is the client who has multiple sclerosis or such a disease like that, where they may be well some days and able to move themselves around, so they don't need quite the turning regime that it can do. And then there are days when they're fatigued and just not able to move, then you can change the settings such that you'll get more pressure redistribution by turning, etc.
By experimenting with them, we've probably learnt to use the beds for quite a range of reasons. The obvious one would be palliative care, and we've certainly used the beds for that reason, but also some of our elders were having very disturbed nights because they were being repositioned quite frequently, and by putting them into a turning bed, we're able to allow them to sleep all night. And that's where a lot of positive feedback has come from, not so much the elder being aware that they've benefited from the bed, but certainly the family can see that the elder is more settled and less disturbed, and it has reduced the pressure sores.
The actual settings can be modified per client and pre-programmed. So once you've set them in place, you don't have to change them again. So often when I'm out there looking at the current devices that they have, they're either inadequate for the weight of the client or they malfunction fairly regularly and maintenance of the equipment is not continued through.
There is a lot of, as I mentioned, pressure reducing equipment available, but nothing that actually relieves the pressure to this degree. So
you are not having to collect 3 or 4 staff, which you might have needed in order to move those more difficult elders and those elders that are a bit combative and tend to have a fight with you if you want to reposition them. Suddenly you're not needing, you can basically do a turn with one person. One of the other things that's good about them is that they can be positioned into an armchair. So not only do we not have the manual handling issues of turning the elder in bed, when it's time for them to have their meal, you can actually set them up into a very good position to feed them without risking them inhaling their food. You're almost not touching the elder. That becomes very significant in an elder that's very frail, has very weak skin or bruises easily.
The purpose of these mattresses and devices is that it minimises our handling of those people who are dying.
Being able to actually stay in their homes rather than having to be placed in institutions. A number of wonderful feedback, which is very inspiring. I'm very honoured to be able to leave something for the future generation of nurses, and I won't have to struggle the way I've initially struggled with and also injured my own back attending to pressure care.
I'm very happy it meets my needs, and I know my staff and the elders and the families are very happy that we're getting the outcomes from the beds that we are.
I would encourage people who want to know more about this bed to actually go out and meet with the people who make it and lay on it, or to make contact with them, ring up, get the bed delivered to your facility and let your client have a go on it.